Long Shot is a 2019 rom-com starring Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron is the Secretary of State, and she is going to make a run for the presidency. And Seth Rogen is a journalist who got fired looking for work. He ends up working for Charlize Theron as her speechwriter, trying to put jokes into her speeches. And over the course of the movie, they fall in love and sparks begin to fly. This movie is directed by this guy, Jonathan Levine, who did the 2011 movie 50-50 starring Seth Rogen, as well as Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And that was a really fun movie. So if you like that one, you'll probably like this movie. Very much reminds me a lot of it. This movie, it's kind of like the show Veep, because you kind of have those political inside intrigue, and it's funny, as well as it reminds me of the 90s movie Dave, where you kind of have Kevin Kline, and he, winds up being president, and it's kind of a fish out of water story. So it reminds me a lot of that, as well as very reminiscent of various other Seth Rogen rom-coms over the years. So if you like all these things, you'll probably like this movie. On to the pros of this movie. I really like the chemistry between Seth Rogen and his best friend in the movie, played by O'Shea Jackson Jr. Some of you might remember him from the movie Straight Out of Compton, where he played Ice Cube. One thing is that, though, in this movie, I couldn't help but constantly see Ice Cube on the screen whenever I saw him. But I like their relationship in here. It was pretty good. I thought the chemistry between Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron was also really good. I really wanted their relationship to work. I had a lot of fun seeing Seth Rogen, who's this lovable loser, try to hook up with Charlize Theron, who is, this gorgeous, beautiful, very successful, very powerful woman who might potentially be president. So, you're seeing these opposites attract throughout the movie, and that was really fun as well. We have Alexander Skarsgård as the Prime Minister of Canada, the handsome Prime Minister of Canada, who's single in this movie, and he is a potential love interest for Charlize Theron, and there's a lot of fun with that. Bob Odenkirk is in the movie as the current president. And the bit with his character is that he used to be a TV president, and now he's the real president. So he's constantly reliving his TV presidency days. And the reason why he quits the presidency is that he wants to try to transition into something even better than being president. He wants to transition into being a movie star and make that move from TV to movies. So that's just a really funny gag right there as well. I also felt this movie did a good job not pandering too much to left-wingers or right-wingers. So if you're a conservative, you probably will be fine with this movie, because I know some of these political movies just turn off a lot of those right-wing viewers, but that should not be too much of a problem in this movie. Mind you, Charlize Theron's character is kind of a Hillary Clinton type, and Seth Rogen is fairly left-wing. And Charlize Theron, part of her political platform in the movie is supporting the environment. But other than that, there's really nothing too blatant, too offensive that would piss off conservatives. Also, there was a good moment near the end where Seth Rogen finds out that his best friend is actually a Republican, and he sort of has to come to terms with that and be able to see things from both sides of the aisle. So that was pretty interesting stuff there as well. And I thought the overall political message in this movie is kind of just how that politicians should really be true to themselves and not lie to the public about who they are. So Charlize Theron in the movie, when she starts developing this relationship with Seth Rogen, she's put under political pressure to sort of hide that relationship because it could be embarrassing to her presidency ambitions, but she decides to be true to herself over the course of the movie, which I thought was a good message to end on. Now, on to some cons for this movie is that Seth Rogen is playing his stereotypical self, so he's kind of the lovable loser, and he likes drugs. And we've seen that many times where you have some sort of drug-induced binge and it's humorous. So if you're kind of sick of seeing Seth Rogen do that, there is some more of that in this movie. I always find it funny, though, so I don't mind. I also felt that there were parts of the movie that were maybe a little bit too far-fetched and a little bit too unbelievable and maybe a little bit rom-com cliche-like. But it's pretty minor, so I would dock a few points for that. But On the whole, I thought this movie was very enjoyable. It's a real crowd pleaser, and this is one of my favorite rom-coms I've seen in a while. So I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10, and I do recommend it.